Hi students, good morning to all of you. Hope you all have enjoyed your Onam holidays. Okay, hearty welcome to all of you for today's session. Hope you all are doing well. Come, let's learn English, and here is your English teacher Jodhima. Today in this session we are going to begin with a prose lesson, The 100 Dresses, written by Elbo Yester. The story is divided into two parts, so today we are going to begin with the first part. Firstly, I shall give you a brief information about the author Elbo Esther, and secondly, I'll introduce the story to you. Okay, let's begin. Elbo Esther was an American author. She moved from Poland to America at a very small age. She is famous for writing children's stories. She wrote the story The 100 Dresses in the year 1944. This story highlights the struggles and discriminations faced by the Polish immigrants in America. You know what's the meaning of immigrants? Immigrants means people who come to live permanently in a foreign country. People who come to live permanently in a foreign country. So this story highlights the struggles and discriminations faced by the Polish immigrants in America. The first Polish immigrants arrived in America in 1608. Polish people fled to America from Germany, Russia, and Austria in search of better jobs and money. Poland is basically a very small country. The immigrants of Poland were identified according to their country of origin. So they were called as Russian Poles, German Poles, and Austrian Poles. As I told you, they moved to America and Canada and such other countries in search of jobs and for a better living condition. They were stereotypes. Their name, their culture, their lifestyle, everything was different from Americans. Actually, they were poor people. They used to do very odd sort of jobs in America. That's why people had some notions about them. Their weird name or their strange name, their long name, their culture, their dressing style, everything was different. So, the Polish Americans were sometimes discriminated against in the United States. Okay, children, come to page number 63 of your textbook. There you will get the information about the Polish American community in the United States. So before getting into the lesson, you just read the portion. Okay, page number 63. So let me introduce the story to you. The main character, the little girl in the story, she is Wanda Petronsky. Petronsky. Her classmates think that her name is weird. Her dressing style is bad. Her culture, her living style, the area where she lives, everything is different from theirs. That's why she is discriminated against. So, in this story, we will see how she is discriminated against or why she is discriminated against. Okay. So, let's move straight to the story. I shall read the first paragraph for you. Listen. Today, Monday, Wanda Petronsky was not in her seat, but nobody, not even Piggy and Madeline, the girls who started all the fun, noticed her absence. Usually, Wanda sat in the seat next to the last seat in the last row in room 13. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling of feet, most roars of laughter when anything funny was said, and most mud and dirt on the floor. Okay, let's see the explanation. The plot of the story opens upon Monday. Wanda Petronsky was absent on Monday. Even Piggy and Madeline did not notice that. These two girls started all the fun. They began all the problems. Wanda, she used to sit in the corner of the classroom. That is, the seat next to the last seat in the last row, where rough boys who did not score good marks usually sat. It was the dirtiest part, the most noisy area of the classroom. The rough boys usually dragging their shoes on the ground to disturb the whole class. Children, the word scuffling of feet. Did you get the word, children? Scuffling of feet. See the last sentence. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling of feet. What's the meaning, children? Most scuffling, noisy, dragging movements of the feet on the ground. So who had done that, children? The rough boys. The rough boys usually dragging their shoes on the ground. For what purpose? To disturb the whole class. They used to roar. They used to laugh loudly whenever anything funny was said. Okay, I hope you understood the first paragraph. Let's move on to the next paragraph. Wanda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. On the contrary, she was very quiet and rarely said anything at all. And nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud. Sometimes she twisted her mouth into a crooked sort of smile, but that was all. So let's see who is Wanda, or from this paragraph we will get the nature of Wanda. Wanda was not rough. She was not noisy like the other boys. She was very quiet. She never said anything loudly. She used to remain silent in the classroom. Sometimes she presented a smile, a crooked smile. That's all. That's the nature of Wanda. Nobody knew exactly why Wanda sat in that seat, unless it was because she came all the way from Boggins Heights and her feet were usually caked with the dry mud. But no one really thought much about Wanda Petronsky once she sat in the corner of the room. Okay, children. So here the author says nobody actually bothered about. Nobody knew why she sat in that seat. And it's a guess. She came all the way from Boggins Heights. Have you seen the, children? Boggins Heights. Boggins Heights is the place where she lives. Then what's the speciality of that place? It's a suburb, an area, an ordinary locality with lots of mud and dirt. So she walked all the way to school and her feet were usually covered with dry mud. Maybe she did not want her classmates to notice that. Understood, children? So, however, not even a single student really thought much about her. She had no friends. She just sat in the corner of the room, number 13. That's the number of her classroom. And after class, she went home alone. Next paragraph. The time when they thought about Wanda was outside of school hours. At noon time, when they were coming back to school, or in the morning, early before school began, when groups of 2 or 3 or even more would be talking and laughing on their way to the schoolyard. Then sometimes they waited for Wanda to have fun with her. So let's see, what's it, children? They did not bother about Wanda at all. Who did not bother about her classmates? Her classmates did not bother about Wanda at all. But the only time when they thought about Wanda was at noon time or in the morning early before school began. Have you seen the sentence? The time when they thought about Wanda was outside of school hours. What do you mean by outside of school hours? Outside of school hours means at noon time or in the morning early before school began. So by that time they were in groups of 2 or 3 or even more, talking, laughing on their way to the schoolyard. Then sometimes they waited for Wanda. For what? To have fun with her, to tease her. Okay. The next day, Tuesday, Wanda was not in school either, and nobody noticed her absence again. So the next day, on Tuesday also she was absent. Nobody noticed her absence. But on Wednesday, Piggy and Maddie, who sat down front with the other children who got good marks and who didn't track in a whole lot of mud, did notice that Wanda wasn't there. Piggy was the most popular girl in school. She was pretty, she had many pretty clothes, and her hair was curly. Maddie was her closest friend. The reason Piggy and Maddie noticed Wanda's absence was because Wanda had made them late to school. They had waited and waited for Wanda to have some fun with her, but she just hadn't come. They often waited for Wanda Petronsky to have fun with her. Okay. On Wednesday, Piggy and Maddie, who sat down front with other children who got good marks, noticed that Wanda wasn't there. So, who noticed that Wanda wasn't there? Piggy and Maddie. Their name, it's referred in the first paragraph itself. Okay, children, so let's see who is Piggy and Maddie. Piggy was the most popular girl in the school. She was pretty, she was beautiful, she had beautiful clothes, her hair was curly, so no doubt she belonged to a rich family. Then, what about the case of Madeline? Madeline, she was called Maddie throughout the story. So let's call her Maddie. Maddie was Peggy's closest friend. There was a reason for them to notice that Wanda was absent on that day, on Wednesday. Do you know the reason, children? Wanda had made them late to school. What's the reason? Yes, they waited for Wanda on the way to the schoolyard. They waited for Wanda in the morning on the way to the schoolyard to have some fun with her. To have some fun with her in order to tease her. But what happened? But she didn't come on that day too. So Piggy and Maddie, they noticed that Wanda wasn't there in her seat. Okay. Wanda Petronsky. Most of the children in room 13 didn't have names like that. They had names easy to say, like Thomas, Smith, or Alan. There was one boy named Bounce, Willie Bounce, and people thought that was funny, but not funny in the same way that Petronsky was. Okay, as I told you, children, Wanda was a Polish girl. Her fellow classmates thought Wanda Petronsky's name. It's a strange name. It's weird because the American names are easy to say, simple names. For example, Thomas, Smith, Allen. But there was one boy named Bounce, Willie Bounce, and people thought that was funny. Why? What's the meaning of bounce, children? Bounce means jump up and down. But the pupils found her name to be long and unfamiliar. Did you get the sentence, children? But not funny in the same way that Petronsky was. But the students or her classmates found her name to be long and unfamiliar. They thought that Wanda Petronsky's name is funnier than Willie Bounce's. Understood? Okay, let's move to the next paragraph. Wanda didn't have any friends. She came to school alone, went home alone. She always wore a faded blue dress that didn't hang right. It was clean, but it looked as though it had never been ironed properly. She didn't have any friends, but a lot of girls talked to her. Sometimes they surrounded her in the schoolyard as she stood watching the little girls play hopscotch on the worn hard ground. So, here from this paragraph, we will get the character of Wanda. So, this paragraph sketches the character of Wanda. She didn't have any friends. She came to school alone, went home alone. She was usually seen wearing a faded blue dress and that did not fit her properly. Have you seen the word, children? That didn't hang right. What do you mean by didn't hang right? Didn't hang right means didn't fit properly. So, what's the condition, children? As I told you, she was a poor girl. She was usually seen wearing a faded blue dress that didn't fit her properly. Then, even if it was clean, it had never been ironed properly. So here, children, in this paragraph, you will get an example for the figure of speech irony. You know irony. So ironically, the author says, Wanda didn't have any friends, but a lot of friends talked to her in order to make fun of her. Have you seen that sentence, children? She didn't have any friends, but a lot of girls talked to her. So here is an example for irony. The author, used the figure of speech irony. So what's the meaning? Ironically, she says Wanda didn't have any friends, but a lot of girls talked to her. For what, children? In order to make fun of her, in order to tease her. So sometimes they surrounded her in the schoolyard as she stood watching the little girls play hopscotch on the worn hard ground. As I told you, she didn't have any friends. She came to school alone and went home alone. So she had a habit, children. Say she stood watching the little girls play hopscotch. What do you mean by hopscotch? You know what is hopscotch? The meaning is given in your textbook, children. Come to page number 65. Hopscotch means it's a game in which children hop into and over squares marked on the ground. Okay, a game in which children hop into and over squares marked on the ground. So the little girls, they were playing hopscotch, and Wanda Petronsky, she was watching the little girls play hopscotch in the schoolyard. But what happened then? The classmates of Wanda, she surrounded her. For what, children? She surrounded her in the schoolyard as she stood watching the little girls play hopscotch on the worn hard ground. The little girls, they were playing hopscotch, and what was Wanda Petronsky doing, children? Wanda Petronsky, she was watching them playing. Okay, so the next paragraph. Wanda, Peggy would say in a most courteous manner, as though she were talking to Miss Mason. Wanda, she would say, giving one of her friends a nudge. Tell us, how many dresses did you say you had hanging up in your closet? Have you seen the picture, children? See? So what's actually happening, children? See, sometimes they gathered around her to mock while she was watching the little girls play hopscotch in the schoolyard. So here they surrounded her in order to tease her or in order to mock her. So who started that? Peggy. See, Peggy would say in a most courteous manner as though she were talking to her teacher. What's the name of her teacher? Miss Mason. So Peggy, you know, the most popular girl in the school, the prettiest girl in the school. So she would ask her in a very polite way, in a way of mocking, as though she were talking to Miss Mason, as though she were talking to her teacher, Miss Mason. So very respectfully she would ask, Wanda, how many dresses did you say you had hanging up in your closet? Then Wanda would say, 100. See, 100. Wanda would say, 100, children. Here comes the end of our last page. So 100 dresses, exclaimed all the little girls incredulously. Children, as I told you, we are moving on to the last topic of today's session, and just listen. I'll read it for you. 100. Wanda would say. What's the specialty of that number, children? See, very respectfully, Peggy would ask, how many dresses do you have in your closet, Wanda? Then Wanda would say, 100. 100 dresses. 100, exclaimed all the little girls incredulously. And the little ones would stop playing hopscotch and listen. Yeah, 100, all lined up, said Wanda. Then her thin lips drew together in silence. What are they like? All silk, I bet, said Peggy. Yeah, all silk, all colors. Velvet too. Yeah, velvet too. 100 dresses, Wanda would repeat stolidly. All lined up in my closet. Then they would let her go. And then before she would go, she had gone, children. And then before she had gone very far, they couldn't help bursting into shrieks and peals of laughter. 100 dresses. Obviously, the only dress Wanda had was the blue one she wore every day. So why did she say she had 100? What a story. How many shoes did you say you had? 60 pairs, all lined up in my closet. Cries of exaggerated politeness greeted this, all alike. Oh no, every pair is different, all colors, all lined up. So children, this is what is the last page of today's session. Let me explain to you. Listen. 100, Wanda would say. 100. So while asking, Peggy would give a nudge. What do you mean by nudge, children? Nudge means a gentle push. So while asking this question to Wanda, Peggy would give a gentle push to one of her classmates. So did you understand what she is trying to do? Okay, so from this we understood that she was just making fun with Wanda. So from this we understood that she was just making fun with Wanda. So by hearing the number 100, all the little girls means the little ones They were playing hopscotch now. So by hearing the number 100, all the little girls screamed in wonder. They were astonished. The little ones who played hopscotch too stopped playing and then listened. They started to listen what Wanda said. So yes, I have 100 dresses. Who said these children? Wanda said stolidly. What do you mean by children stolidly? Stolidly means not showing any feeling. So without showing any feelings on her face, Wanda answered to Peggy that she had 100 dresses, all lined up in her closet. Silk, velvet, all colors were there. So Wanda would answer to Peggy without showing any feelings on her face. She would repeat stolidly. What do you mean by stolidly? Not showing any feeling. Then, after some time, they would let her go. And then, before she had gone very far, they burst into laughter. See the sentence, children? They burst into laughter. Then they would let her go. And then, before she had gone very far, they couldn't help bursting into shrieks and peals of laughter. Have you seen that, children? Shrieks and peals of laughter. Shrieks and peals of laughter means a long, loud series of laughter. A long, loud series of laughter. So what did they do, children? They couldn't help bursting into shrieks and peals of laughter. They laughed loudly. Okay, so what's the reason, children? 100 dresses. Obviously means it's very clear. Clearly, the only dress Wanda had was the blue one she wore every day. So did you get the reason behind their shrieks and peals of laughter, children? They laughed for a long time. A long, loud series of laughter they had. What's the reason? Because the only dress Wanda had was the blue one she wore every day. So why did she say that she had 100 dresses? What a story. Why did she create a story like this? Then here comes another question. So everybody was surprised. Why? Why did she say that she had 100 dresses? Okay, so here comes another question. It's a question, children. How many shoes do you have, Wanda? Wanda said 60 pairs, all lined up in my closet. Another question from the part of the children. All are alike? All are same? Yeah. All are same? Oh no, every pair is different. So what did she say, Wanda? Oh no, every pair is different. All colors are there, all lined up in my closet. Okay, children, have you got this story? So it's time to wind up today's session. Here comes an end of today's session, children. So I hope you understood the portion that we discussed today. Few more pages are there, children. I think 2-3 pages are there. It will be explained in the next class. I hope you understood the portion that we discussed today. So read the lesson and write the given notes in your notebook, children. Today I am not giving you any assignment. Just write the notes and send it to me as early as possible. Thank you, children. Have a nice day.